Welcome back. My name is Johan van Niekerk, and we are discussing the business formula. As I spoke about in my last video, over the last 25 years, I've had the privilege of guiding hundreds of business owners to success. I've also had the privilege of building my own businesses in multiple countries, in multiple continents around the world. And in this time, I have figured out that business is a formula. In the last video, I gave you an overview of what this looks like, all the different areas, and today we're going to delve a little bit deeper into the first part, the foundation. If you missed the last video, please go and have a look at it. The link to the video is in the description below. That gives you a detailed explanation of the overview of how everything fits together. I like to use visual examples. I'm a very visual guy, like I also said in my last video. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to look at this foundation as part of this building blocks of building a business. And hey, if you haven't got these, it's not the end of the world. It's not your business is not going to survive. The good news is that if you don't have these areas, we can fix it. You can fix it. You just need to know. There's no saying that you don't know what you don't know. And in this case, we are going to today make you aware of what you don't know. And the good news is, then you can fix it. That being said, let's get into it. As I said before, building a business is like building a house. You start in certain areas, and we start with a foundation in a house. Logically, you can't build anything else until you have a good, strong foundation. And you want to make sure that this foundation can withstand all the challenges of running a business. And you can imagine there's lots of challenges. We just recently came out of a pandemic that absolutely devastated small and medium-sized businesses. And these are the things, if your foundations are really, really well prepared, this is how you weather these storms. This wasn't the first pandemic. Unfortunately, I don't believe it's going to be the last. The world is in turmoil, whether it's politically or otherwise. And your business has to have a foundation strong enough to withstand what's going on in the world at the moment. That said, let's get into it. Let's start looking at what are these elements of building a very, very strong foundation. Again, as I said in the first video, the foundation of a strong business is actually personal development and mindset. Personal development is, I think it's become a bit of a swear word in the industry because everybody wakes up in the morning and decides that they're a coach, but there is actually really, really good science behind personal development. Remember, if you're weathering the storm, if you know who you are and where you're on your way to, hey, people can't take you off your trajectory. When you don't know what you stand for, that's when the storms will blow you in whichever direction the wind is blowing. If you know where you are going, you will fight the storms, you will stay on your course, and you will ultimately achieve success. In a business, one of the first things that you have to think about is leadership. And that sounds a bit odd. Leadership. Why leadership? It's only me. I'm starting the business all by myself. Yes, that's true. But all leadership starts with leadership of self. Are you able to lead yourself? Are you able to get up in the morning, regardless of what's going on in your life, and push through the day? Or are you one of those that says, oh, I need to sleep in. I can't get up before 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And for that, I'll work until 6 at night. That doesn't cut it. You really have to lead yourself. You have to be disciplined. You need to be able to push through in the difficult times. So we start with looking at leadership and what type of a leader you are. There's so many different forms of leadership. I don't have the time to go into it in this video. But again, if you want to have more information, please click below, subscribe to our newsletter, and we will be giving you more and more information over the coming weeks and months in terms of how to figure these things out. What type of a leader are you? How do you lead yourself? How do you lead others? When you understand your leadership form, hey, it's easy. You can always fall into that. You're authentic and you can push through things. Part of leadership is also self-reflection. Are you somebody that just goes? Do you throw something at the wall and see what sticks? Or do you do a lot of self-reflection? Are you able to take feedback? This is how do we cultivate this habit of self-reflection? Very, very important. That helps us reflect. That looks us at what went well, what went bad. How do I do it better next time? All of these things, very, very important. One of the biggest things that I believe in, and one of the ones that really lies close to my heart, is values. What are your personal values? Because in the end, your personal values is going to reflect in the business. Personal values determines your business, and values is what separates us. Unfortunately, values has become a marketing buzzword, and the big companies use these marketing terms that they say, enjoy the feeling, whatever it is. They market what they stand for, but that's not authentically true. And we, in our souls, we know when it doesn't fit. Your values that's what you are. And when you know what your values are and what you stand for, then you can reflect that. And that's a great filter in terms of doing business with somebody else again. If you figure out your values and you know what it is, how you attract other people with those values. And when you are true and authentic, then it doesn't take energy. That's one of the things that, it's not here, but you need to understand energy. We all have limited energy. And when you have to constantly put up a facade of who you are and what you like, hey, that takes too much energy and you start running out of energy. You get tired, you get burnt out. It takes too much and you can't keep it up forever. You can't keep up this facade forever. So by being true to your values, you will attract other peoples of the same values. And we all, that's the beauty of being being human. We all have slightly unique characteristics, slightly unique things that we value. And I always say, hey, one of my values are not money. But other people have values as money. And if money is your value, hey, by all means do it. You'll attract other people whose values are money. My values is more about honesty, authenticity, serving others. That's my values. That's what I stand for. And that's also why I do this, because I absolutely love helping others. We also have to look at your individual and personal strengths and weaknesses. That's another element of this foundation. What are your strengths and weaknesses? We all have them, but there's also blind spots. We do not like looking at ourselves. That brings us back to the self-reflection that we spoke about a little bit earlier. When you are able to self-reflect, what happens is that you will start to figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. There's also some great tests out there, online tests that you can take that indicate where your strengths and weaknesses lie. And when you know what they are, you are able to manage your weaknesses. I'm not a big believer in working on your strengths too much. I believe in managing your strengths and playing to your weaknesses. That again gives you a lot more energy, takes much less out of you, and you are able to create and do what you need to do on a daily basis because you know where your strengths lie and you play to it as well. Another thing that we have to that we look at is talents. Hey, some of us are born, well, not some, all of us are born with some natural talents. Some of us are naturally sporty, others are naturally intelligent. We all have talents. And when you understand these talents, these things all point you towards your purpose eventually, because that's the true core of this. The true core is you have to figure out what is your purpose. And I know it sounds a little bit cliche, but I personally believe we all have a purpose on this earth. And I also believe we have a duty to be great. I believe you have a duty to be great. I believe I have a duty to be great. Because when we are great, then we change the world for the better. You also have to be able to reflect on your history. Hey, some of us have had very, very traumatic pasts. And despite the fact that we believe that we suppress it, it influences our day-to-day. These are things that you have to face. Maybe you need a psychologist to do that. Maybe you need a counselor. Maybe you don't. Maybe you've dealt with it already. But it is good when you can reflect. I've had some very personal and very extreme experiences in my life. I was held at gunpoint a couple of times in my life. I've had to deal with all of these things so that it doesn't influence me on a daily basis. Another thing is, you can see I'm very passionate. I'm very, very passionate about what I do. And that's also something that we have to identify. You have a God-given passion. You have something inside of you that drives you. And when you access this passion, and you look at all these other elements that I just mentioned, this all helps you point towards your purpose. What is your purpose in life? I have a purpose, you have a purpose, everybody has a purpose. And that purpose is like a compass. That purpose points you in the direction. That purpose is when you wake up in the morning, and you know why you are getting up. You know why you are heading in a specific direction. And it also helps you to stay on course. I always like to use the example. If you want to travel and you want to go to, let's just say you want to go to New York. Great. You know what your goal is. You want to head towards New York, but you also need to know where you are. Because if you are in San Francisco or you are in Frankfurt in Germany, two very different ways to get there. You have to be very, very clear with where you are going, what your purpose is, because then you stay on course. And when you wake up at night, or you're in the middle of the night and somebody asks you where you're going, you know exactly where you are going. And you're not being blown around by the wind. This is purpose. This is what you really, really have to find. Once you've found that purpose, the next thing is we develop a vision. A true vision, not just for your business, but for your whole life. The vision This is where you see what type of business you want to run, how big you want it to be, what type of family you want. A lot of people talk about manifestation. This is not manifestation. I don't believe in manifestation. Manifestation says I can sit here, okay, pray or meditate or do whatever, focus very hard, and then suddenly there's a Lamborghini going to appear here in my office. That doesn't happen, okay? It's not going to happen. You have to actually physically do things to get there. But the vision, that is what again makes it clear why you want all of these things and where you are going. Vision, once you figure out the vision, once you know what the vision is about, what your life is going to be about, what your family looks like. For us and our family, we visualize this so often. I'm originally from South Africa. I live in Europe at the moment. My kids are starting to get to the age where they're starting to leave school. And you know what? Me and my wife, our dream is we want to be able to travel between Europe, Africa, and wherever our kids are in the world. We want to do it on a regular basis. I want to follow the sun. Once you've had this vision, we know what it looks like. We know that we want a game farm in Africa. We know that we want a place here in Europe and Mallorca. We also know that we'd like a couple of other places. And what's happened at the age of 46, which I am today as I speak, hey, we already have a game farm. We already have properties in Europe. We're in the process of purchasing something in Mallorca as well. This is what drives that vision. This is what gives us the energy to get up in the morning and really, really push. The beauty is when you and your family share the vision, when you and your significant other push together, hey, it's magic happens. Everything becomes possible when you have them on your side. Once we have the vision, the next building block in this foundation is looking from vision. We go into your mission critical success factors. We go and identify what is critical to achieving this vision. What are the elements that you have to achieve? So for us, for example, the example I used about how we want to live one day when our kids are out of the house, for us, it's critical. We need to have a game farm in Africa. We need to have a place in Mallorca. We need to have a place in Germany where I currently live. We need to have these places. What car do I want to drive? What do I need to do to achieve this lifestyle that I am dreaming of? Okay. In the business, same thing. What does it look like in the business? Where do I want to go? Hey, this recording that I'm doing currently, this is part of the growth that I would like to see. This is part of my purpose and my calling. So a mission critical success factor for me, for example, is making sure that I get this information out there, that I start sharing what I know, what I've learned over the years that I've had the privilege of understanding. This is part of my mission critical success factors. I have to put it out there. Once you understand the mission critical success factors, I have to get this information out. Next step is we start looking at strategies and tactics. Okay, what options do I have to get this out there? Hey, you're watching this right now on a social media channel. That's one of the options of getting it out there. You can also find this content on my website. That's another strategy on how to get it out there. This is what you have to look at. What are the options? How do I get to where I want to be? The strategies, the tactics that I can create to make this happen. And then once I have the strategies and tactics, hey, what comes next? Out of that flows finally goals. Goals is then when we finally get to the point where we say exactly what we want to achieve and we put action steps and timelines to that. So the goals is then to say, hey, I want the property in Mallorca. That's my goal. By when? I want to buy the property before the end of the year. Great. What is the action steps to be able to do that? I need to be able to find the property. I need to be able to buy the property. I need the money. I want to grow my business is another example of the goal. I want to be growing by 10% by the end of the year, or 20% or 30%, whatever your goal is. Then it's breaking that down and saying, what are the action steps to get there? I need to contact more clients. I need to get more revenue. I need to do this. I need to do that. Like I say, specific timelines with specific action steps. This is the foundation of the business. I believe in doing things holistically. That means that we have to do this personal development, not just for you and your personal capacity. We also look at your business and where you want to go in your business. And then you also need to look at your personal life, your family, your friends, how you want to do this. All of this is part of your personal development and your mindset. Because when you are secure in who you are, when you truly know your identity, which is what this process does, is it looks at you, it looks at your identity, it helps you define truly who you are, both in your personal life and in business. That is a phenomenal, unshakable foundation for building a proper and successful business. And remember, if you have found this content valuable, make sure you don't miss any of this by liking, subscribing, and clicking the notification bell below.